What I have here today, everyone, is a tent that I'm very excited to check out. This is going into testing now before winter comes. This is the Eureka Timberline 2 tent. A few months ago, I heard from a viewer who was praising this tent, and he was asking my thoughts about it. Honestly, folks, I've never heard of this tent before. I've heard of the company, yes, but the Timberline tent? No. After having a conversation with Lauren, I discovered that this tent has been around for like 40 years. In a way, this tent is legendary. But this is the interesting thing. If you go on YouTube, there's very little information about it. Just because I haven't heard of it doesn't mean a whole lot, right? There's plenty of tents out there that I haven't seen, haven't heard of. So my question for you all is this. Are you aware of the Timberline 2? Do you have any experiences? If you do, comment down below and share. There's a few aspects that make this so interesting. First off, this is a A-frame tent. A-frame tents are rather uncommon today. Next up is the fact that this tent has been around for so long, 41 years. Because it's been around for so long and it's praised so much online, it's my hope that this is going to be an excellent product. With that being said, Lauren, thank you so much for sending this in. I appreciate it, and I know the community does as well. From here on out, my thoughts and my opinions are my own, and I'm going to be subjective. I'm going to share with you the good and the bad about this product, and ultimately, I will give you all my review, in which I may recommend this product or not. So with that being the case, everyone, let's go ahead and take a look at the Timberline 2 tent. Let's start off here by going over the components of this tent. This is brand new, sent directly from Amazon. Again, Lauren, thank you so much, buddy. You have the storage bag, a cloth tie. We have 8 steel stakes, shepherd hooks, and we have 2 small sections of cordage. I'm not sure what this is for. Here we have the poles. With this tent, there are 5 aluminum poles, and you have the 2 hubs. This is the fly for the tent, and this is the body. Now that we've gone over the component breakdown, I will go ahead and set up the tent so we could go over the important aspects of this shelter. With the aluminum poles here, I can tell you that they are quite macho, in fact. To be honest, I'm not sure if I've seen aluminum poles this burly before. Maybe on like a 4-season tent. I'm impressed, no doubt about it. As you all could see, the frame has been set up along with the body. The fly's not on yet. You have a hub here, a pole going in here, here. You have the cross member right through here. And then you have this elastic strap that goes over this. And that supports the top of the body. Going down, you have clips that connect to the poles. All right, everyone, the tent has been set up. Before we take a look at the tent, let's talk about the setup process because this is unusual. I have not seen anything like this in a really long time. The setup process is definitely a little bit slower than your more modern tent, but it doesn't take all that much time. This was my first time setting it up, and it took maybe 7 minutes, something like that. So with experience, this will be faster. The fly is interesting, and that's because this is a partial fly. You could see that it only covers so much of the tent. In a rain that was simply falling down, it would provide pretty good coverage, but in a thunderstorm with driving rain, it would not. That's when you would have to be concerned about rain and water making its way inside of the tent. There is a storm flap that goes over the zipper. That's only at the bottom. You can see here at the top, this zipper does not have a storm flap. The zippers come together like this, and unfortunately, there is a giant hole here where those zippers come together. That's crazy. A tarantula could fit inside of that. That thing's huge. This is a view underneath the fly. You can see the hardware here. That's so that you can take the fly and you can attach it to that. Basically for a storm mode sort of setup. With the door here, it can be rolled back and tied up if you like. Going inside of the tent, you have a pocket here, a pocket on the other side, and that is the other wall. Luckily with this wall, this can be unzipped so that you do have good ventilation. Up at the top in the corners, you have some D-rings, so you can hang a line in here if you like. With the door, the same process can be repeated. You can unzip the fabric panel, exposing the mesh so that you can have some airflow. It should be mentioned where the zippers come together, there is a flap on the inside. That will limit the bugs that come inside, but it won't stop them. That is difficult to navigate, actually. When you have the zippers fully secure, it's really difficult to grab the pulls and to unzip it. I'm not a fan. Something else here. This tent is hot. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but I am sweating my brains out inside of this tent. And right now we're in the forest in the shade. Because of the materials used, it's hot. It's very, very hot. You do have a good amount of mesh in the back, here in the front, but you don't have any on the sides. So it's one of those things where you have to set this up with a good idea of the wind directions. That way you can get airflow inside of this tent, because if the winds shift or you set this up incorrectly in relation to those winds, you're not going to feel any wind, any airflow inside of this at all. In other words, this tent is going to be super, super hot. Oh, man. I am drenched in sweat now. Wow. All right, let me cool off and I'll be back in a second. Before I go over my thoughts and impressions of this shelter so far, let's go over some stats because there's quite a bit to cover here. One of the most important things to know about this tent is that there's multiple versions out there. There's a 2-person version and a 4-person version of this tent here. There is also the Timberline SQXT. These versions feature more mesh, and the design is a little bit different at the top of the tent. That version is available in 2-person and 4-person. There's also a 4-person and 6-person version of the SQ Outfitters tent. These are the tents that make up the Timberline line of products, and it is a little bit confusing when you go out to look for one of these tents because there are so many different versions of it. With these tents, they range in price greatly. Speaking of which, for the 2-person standard version, this is $220. The weight of this is 6 pounds 10 ounces. The setup dimensions. This tent is 86 inches long, it is 63 inches wide, and it is 42 inches tall. The pack dimensions are 24 inches by 6 inches. When it comes to the materials, they are as follows. The inner body is a 75 denier 185T polyester taffeta. The rainfly is a 75 denier 185T polyester taffeta as well. The mesh, that's a 40D polyester. The floor material is slightly stronger. It's a 75 denier 210T polyester. It features aluminum poles, steel stakes, and since we're talking about the materials, we might as well go over the hydrostatic head rating. That is the waterproof rating for this tent. It is only 800. It is incredibly low. I should say this, everyone. I think that's what the hydrostatic head rating is. If you go to the Eureka website, it says it's 800 for the standard version, which you have here. On the box, it says it's 1,000. I don't know which number is right. 800 or 1,000, who knows? Ultimately, it doesn't make much of a difference. 800 is very, very low. 1,000 is still very, very low. Most tents today feature a hydrostatic head rating of at least 1,200. So to have a tent that's 800 to 1,000, I would be cautious about using this in heavy rain. Unfortunately, as you know, you can't predict the weather in all cases. You could do your best, but you can't plan for only light to moderate rain. Sometimes it's heavy, sometimes it's hard, and that presents a big question for this tent. Is it going to be waterproof? There is a vestibule add-on for this tent, and it runs around $65. Again, everyone, this tent features 5 poles. It has 1 door. This is a 2-person tent, and this is a 3-season tent. The tent features a partial fly and a partial internal fly. Now, folks, I'd like to go over my impressions of this tent so far, starting with the setup process. All in all, very easy, not as fast as a modern tent, and most of that is due to the pole design and the hub. Since they're not connected, you have to connect them yourself. It does take a little bit longer, but all in all, it's not very complicated. Anybody can get it. The quality of the tent seems to be very good so far. I don't see any issues with loose threads or anything like that. I will have to say that for the money, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. This tent is $220. That's a lot of money for a tent that's made with these materials. The primary material for this tent is a polyester, and it's not a very strong level of polyester. On average, you would find tents using this material to be around $100. So $220 for this is a little shocking. It's an interesting combination of materials, really, because you have the very inexpensive, somewhat weak polyester material, but with the very beefy aluminum poles. They're stout. They are. And for this type of setup, they need to be. I'm glad to see that the company didn't go with fiberglass poles because they would break. With an A-frame setup, you don't want fiberglass. As far as the design of the tent, it's very interesting. I do like A-frames. This does have a lot of space. The biggest problem that I see with this model is the limited mesh. Yes, you do have mesh at the door, mesh at the back, but none on the sides. The company obviously recognized this. That's why they have the SQXT version. I think that's what they called it. That version has more mesh, and that means the tent is going to be more comfortable to use. Because this tent features so much fabric instead of mesh, I would say this is a early season or late season tent. That's when you're going to be able to use this and be the most comfortable. In other words, this is not the type of tent that I want to use in the summer months. When it's really hot, I don't want this. I want to use this more on those cool days, those cool evenings, where you want to limit the airflow a little bit, where you want to hold in just a little bit of heat. That's when this tent is going to make more sense. In the summertime, like today, where it's 80 degrees, it is stifling inside of that tent. Super, super hot. And that goes back to the limited mesh. As I've mentioned already, I am worried about this tent being waterproof. On the manufacturer's website, it states that the standard version of this tent features an 800mm hydrostatic head rating. It says that the versions with more mesh, they have a higher rating of 1,000. So, and that right there is a good place to stop, everyone. Make sure to comment down below, share your thoughts. What do you all think about this tent? If you have any hands-on experience with it, is this tent waterproof? That's a big question that I have. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. With a little bit of searching, you can find tents that are $100 less expensive, that are much, much lighter weight, that have a ton of mesh, so you're going to have excellent breathability. The materials are going to be stronger, they're going to be more waterproof. I'm going to test this out very soon. We will do it together. We will see if this is waterproof or not. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What do you all think? Lauren, my friend, thank you so much for sending this tent in. I really appreciate it, and I know that the community does as well. All right, folks, hit the like button before you go. It does help the channel. You can support the Outdoor Gear Review, Patreon, YouTube. You can join the Wolf Pack. There is a merch store set up so you can get yourself some goods if you want to support the channel. The channel is agenda-free. I'm not here to sell this product or any other product. I'm here to share information, and that's it. This has been a first look at the Timberline 2 from Eureka. Take care, folks. Be well. Strength and honor. See you soon.